Welcome to the class 7 of the Python course. In the last class, we studied sets and dictionaries, where I defined sets and I also showed their methods. Same for the dictionaries. I showed you some examples of the methods. You can contact me on my social medias to learn Python programming. The links are in the description. And here is a summary chart of the difference between lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. We have order in the lists in tuples, but there is no order in the sets. In case of dictionaries, we have the order in Python 3.7 and later updates. Mutability. Mutability means whether you can change the items. In case of lists, we can do that. For the tuples, we cannot change its items. We can change sets items and we can also change dictionaries items. Duplicate items. Yes, lists can have duplicate items. Tuples can have duplicate items, but sets cannot have. And same for the dictionaries. We can have duplicate values, but we cannot have duplicate keys. In case of the next thing is the access, that you cannot access sets using index, but you can access lists and tuple items. But in case of dictionaries, you can only access using the key. So these are the 4 things which you should keep in mind. Alright, so today's class I'll begin with the introduction of indentation. So what is indentation is that you use 4 spaces per indentation level. Using 4 spaces improves readability while leaving room for multiple levels of indentation on each line. So when you will be writing code and you will make use of if-else statements, while loops, for loops, then you are going to need to use 4 spaces after entering the body of the loops. So I'll show you in the use of indentation with if-else statements. So for that, first let's read what are the if-else statements. So programming often involves examining of a set of conditions and deciding which action to take based on those conditions. Python's if statement allows you to examine the current position of a program and respond appropriately to that state. So if we are writing a line of code and we have a condition that we need to check, that if a condition is fulfilled, this task will be executed. For example, if a person enters to quit a program, the program will quit. That is our first condition. The second condition, if the person says no, the program will not quit. So we will write if our condition, then block of code. If this condition is not met, for example, person said no, I don't want to quit, then this condition will be executed. That is else. That is program will keep on running. So let me show you how we can make use of the if-else statement. So for that, let's take a variable x and take its value in integers from the user. So I'll take int input, enter your name, and same I'm going to do for the second variable, that is y, int input, enter your second number. And now I will use the if-else condition. So for using the if-else condition, first of all, you are going to use the function if, and then we will write our condition. Here I will check whether x is greater or y. So we write if x is greater than y, then you are going to execute this line of code. So before writing the code, you see that the VS Code already added 4 spaces here. So this is what the indentation is all about. So if I want to write the code, I need to add 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here I will write my code that says that if x is greater than y, print x is greater than y. Alright, but what if the x is not greater than y? Then you are going to write else. You are going to run this line of code that print y is a greater number, or y is greater than x. Y is greater than x. So we have if, we have else, and now if I run my program and enter my first number, that is going to be 7, and then I'm going to enter my second number, that is going to be 5. If I enter, it says x is greater than y. So I run the program. I gave my first number, that is 7. I gave my second number, that is 5. Obviously 7 is greater than 5. So it checked this condition. It entered this line of code and printed the line x is greater than y. But what if I do the opposite? 5 first and then give the y 7, enter. It says y is greater than, so it should be y is y is greater than x. Now here I can add another thing that is called else if statement. So if you want to write multiple more conditions, you are going to use else if. So for that, I'm going to check what if x is equal to y. Then you are going to execute this statement, that is print x and y are equal numbers. Now if I print it and enter 7, 7, it says x and y are equal numbers. So this is how we can make use of if, else statements and indentation. Now let me give you more examples. Age checker using if else statement. So we're going to check age. Checking age program 1. So for this, first of all, I'm going to take age as input. Int input, and I'm going to type enter your age. All right. So I will give it the condition if age is greater than equal to 18, print the statement that you are eligible to, let's say, drive. And now we are going to add another condition that will, where we will obviously use else if, that if age is less than 18, print the statement you are underage. Then we are going to use another condition, that is else if age is greater than or equal to 50, you will print you are senior citizen. And at the end, we are going to print the statement program ends. But I need to add another thing, that is if age is 50 and age is less than, you can say 60. Let me make it 60 and then run it and give it 57. It says you are eligible to draw. Now if I type 65 and it says you are senior citizens and program ends. So this is how we can make use of if else statement. Alright, now let's move on to the second program. It's similar to the first one, but there is use of the logic operator. So if I take age similar to the previous one, I will take age as an input, and then I'm going to make the first condition that if my age is less than 18, then we're going to print you are underage. Second condition is age is less than 13, then it should print you are too young. The next thing is else if statement, that is going to check that else if age is greater than 18 and age is less than equal to 45, then print, then you type adult citizen. The next thing is else if age is greater than 45 and age is less than 50, then you are going to print senior citizen. And at the end, we are going to print else, print most senior citizen. If I run the program, so these I have designed myself. You can make logic on your own, but the main thing is I've used nested if else statement. So I have a if statement here, then another if statement here. Then I use else if, and else. Now if I run my program and enter here 17, right? It says you are underage. If I type age 12, it says you are underage and you are too young. First of all, this condition was checked, then this message was printed. Then it kept on checking the second condition, that was if age is less than 13, then you are going to print you are too young. So we have both the messages here. So if I run my program again and type here 46 and enter, it says senior citizen. Alright, let's move on to the next program. Alright, so our next question is accept 3 numbers from the user and display the second largest number. Alright, program 3, second largest number. Alright, for this we are going to take 3 user inputs for the number 1, number 2, number 3, and then we are going to create if else statements. We will compare all the 3 numbers and we will have three different cases. So first of all, I'm going to take the number 1 input, int input, enter your number. Similar, enter your first number. And now we're going to use the similar break for the second and third number. We have number 2, number 3, second number, third number. Now I will create our first condition, that if number 1 is greater than number 2 and number 1 is greater than number 3, then you are going to check another condition, that is if number 2 is greater than number 3, we're going to print number 2 is the second largest number. Then we also print the number that is number 2, right? And then we're going to print else print num3 is the second largest number, that is num2. We're going to print the number, right? So we have made our first conditions using the number 1. Now in the same way, we will check for number 2 and number 3. So what it will do, so we have created the first condition using the number 1. What it will do, it will check the number 1 first with the both numbers, then and will give us the second largest number. Now we are going to make the second condition using the number 2, that else if number 2 is greater than number 3, number 1, and number 2 is greater than number 3, then we're going to use if statement that if number 1 is greater than number 3, print number 1 is the second largest number, and also print number 1. And then we're going to add the brackets, else print number 3 is the second largest number, and obviously we're going to print number 3. I'm using else because, so obviously if we have checked number 1 and this condition is not met, and then we check the second condition that for the number 2 and this condition also not met, then we obviously know that number 3 is the largest number and the remaining two number will be, one of them is the second largest. So we will use if num2 num1 greater than num2, then print the statement num1 is the second largest number, and then we're going to print num1, else print num2 is the second largest number, num2, and at the end we're going to print check next set of numbers. So we took 3 numbers, then we checked first number with the both numbers and then created nested loop. Then for the we checked the second number with the other 2 numbers and created its nested loop. And for the third one, we know obviously we have checked 2 numbers, then the third one is going to be the largest, and now we only need to check for the second largest in the else body. So if I run my program and enter my first number, that is going to be 3, then 5, and then 7. It says the second largest number, num2 is the second largest number. Now if I reverse the things, I add like 11 first, then 17, and then at the end 7. So it says number 1 is the second largest number, that is 11. And at the end, if I write 3, 15, and 7, it will say number 3 is the second largest number, that is the number 7. So we entered 3 numbers and we checked which is the second largest number. Now let me give you another example, that is for the password checker. That is our program. Now for this, I'm going to take a password or a string as an input, and then we're going to check for the different conditions, which are at least 8 characters long, contains at least 1 uppercase, 1 lowercase, contains at least 1 digit, and otherwise return invalid password. For this one, let's first of all take our password as input is equal to input, or as enter your password, and then we are going to use the if statement, and then we'll set the condition that if length of the password, so I'm using this length method counts the characters that we are going to enter. Password is greater than 8 and any c dot is upper. For c in password, let's move it to the next line, 2 3 4, this should be here. For c in password and any c dot is lower, or c in password and any c dot is digit, or c in password. Print valid password, else print invalid Right, so we set up the first condition that if length of the password is greater than 8, and then we set up a series of other conditions. That if all of these conditions are true, then you are going to give us the valid password. And remember that I use here the for loop. That is going to be our next topic that we are going to study. So for loop is going to check one by one each character. So we will study about this in depth, but for now, the sake of just for learning, the if else statement, look at this program for checking a password. Now if I run my program and enter here 1234 password A and enter, it says valid password. But if I run it again and type 1234 and press enter, it says invalid password as I just entered 4 digits only. So this is how you can make use of the if else statement to check a password. Now let's move on to the next program. That is going to be our program 5, and that says accept the kilometers covered and calculate the bill according to the following. If for the first 10 kilometers you are going to charge 11 per kilometer, the next 90 kilometer you are going to charge 10 per kilometer, and after that you are going to charge 9 per kilometer. So we are calculating travel cost in program 5. Travel cost in program 5. So for this, first of all, we are going to take distance as input, but instead of integer, I'm taking float because we are going to have decimal points. So float input, enter the distance covered, and then we're going to set up a condition that if distance is less than 10 is less than or equal to 10, then you are going to do is print the cost of traveling is distance multiplied with 11, and then we are going to have the cost for that first 10 kilometers, and then we are going to use else if statement, and here we will set up condition that if distance is greater than 10 and distance is less than 100, then you are going to print cost is 110 plus 90 multiplied with 10, as we have the cost reduced to 10 from 11. That's why I'm multiplying 90 with the 10 and also adding 110 that we have already calculated. And in the last one, we are going to add else if distance is greater than 100 and print cost is 1010 plus distance minus 100 and multiplied with 9. Alright, so this 1010 is the result of this calculation. There is need of a minor tweak. I added 90. There should be distance here. So we need to fix this, the distance between 10 kilometers to 100. So for this, we are going to remove the first 10 kilometers from our distance, and then we are going to multiply with the 10. That is the price for the distance. And after this calculation, we are going to add this into 110, and this will give us the correct results. So if I press run and enter 50, 510. So if I run it again and type here 50, cost is 510. How? First of all, it placed the value 50 here and remove 10 from it. So we are left with 40. 40 multiplied with 10 is 410 and added to 110. It gives us 510. Why we are at 110? Because we have calculated the value for the first 10 kilometers. That is going to be 110. And we simply added it to this. So hope you understand the program. And then finally, we have the value for the infinite distance. So if I'm covering 1000, 5000, 10,000, it is going to add the new value calculation to the answer of the first 100 kilometers. That is 1010, adding it to the infinite distance that we are going to travel. So this is how you can make use of if else statement also. So here are more examples which you can see on the screen that make a program that takes input a number as input and returns the prime number. And we have another question, make a program in which a list of strings are taken as input and returns all vowels. Here is another one and another one. Just try it on your own and see if you can solve these examples. If you want to learn from me, just message me on my social medias. Links are in the description. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, And things which we studied today are the indentation, if else statements, and I showed you some 5 examples. I'll see you in the next class.